I didn't hear my name first. I heard certainty. The reaction will look natural, my mother-in-law said into her phone, voice low, confident. By dinner, it's done. I stopped breathing before I stopped walking. The hallway light hummed. My son's backpack sat by the door, cartoon zipper half open like a grin that didn't know what was coming. I didn't scream. I didn't run. I went to the kitchen. I married into that house believing loyalty was inherited. Sunday dinners, careful smiles, the way she touched my shoulder a second too long as if measuring me. She called me clever, the way some people say dangerous when they're pretending to be kind. My son adored her. That was the lever she planned to pull. She knew his condition. She'd watched me read labels like prayers. She'd seen the hospital bracelet, the overnight bags, the way fear teaches precision. That was the point. The discovery didn't come with fireworks. It came with logistics. She was discussing timing, distance, witnesses. The cruelty wasn't loud. It was efficient. I remember thinking, so this is how monsters talk when they think they're alone. Pain arrived, then cooled into something usable. I cataloged facts. Who, when, why. I didn't need motive. Control was enough. She wanted leverage, silence, a family shaped by fear. I decided then my son would live, and the truth would surface without my fingerprints. Planning felt like returning to myself. I didn't confront. I observed. I noted routines, habits, patterns she believed invisible. The way she handled bags, the way she insisted on helping, the way she assumed my gratitude meant blindness. I preserved evidence without theatrics, screenshots, timestamps, a voice memo captured by accident, hers, not mine. I made sure the chain of custody was clean. I didn't rush. Rushing is how guilt leaves footprints. I adjusted one variable and left everything else untouched. Then I smiled at dinner. Execution isn't chaos when you've rehearsed it in your head 100 times. I switched what needed switching. Nothing dramatic, no mess, no witnesses. The house stayed calm because calm is contagious. I kissed my son's hair and sent him to wash his hands. I watched my mother-in-law pour wine with a steady hand. 3 hours later, sirens folded the night in half. Not for my son. The ambulance lights painted the driveway blue and red, like a confession written in color. Neighbors peeked. Phones came out. Questions bloomed. My sister-in-law's face had gone slack with panic. My mother-in-law went pale in a way that told me she'd done the math and reached the wrong answer. I stood back, concerned, appropriate, silent. At the hospital, words mattered. I said just enough. The kind of enough that invites professionals to ask their own questions. I handed over what I had when it was requested, not before. I let timelines contradict themselves without my help. Truth doesn't need pushing when it's documented. The fallout wasn't cinematic. It was administrative. Investigators, interviews, a family fracturing along fault lines that had always been there. When my mother-in-law finally looked at me, really looked, her eyes searched for mercy like a misplaced object. I gave her clarity instead. I heard you, I said quietly, in a corridor that smelled like antiseptic and fear. Everything. She tried to speak. The mask slipped. Power drains fast when it's borrowed. The confrontation didn't end with shouting. It ended with consequences. Charges considered. Custody protected, access revoked, the family narrative rewritten without her edits. My son slept through most of it, safe, breathing evenly, unaware of the knife that had missed him and found another sheath. That mattered more than vengeance. People ask how I stayed calm. They mistake control for coldness. Here's the truth. Rage is loud. Strategy is quiet. I chose the language that lasts in courtrooms and memory. I didn't lose my family. I clarified it. Months later, at a boardroom table far from that kitchen, I watched another predator underestimate me. "You're outdated. We're done here," the CEO hissed. I replied, "Understood." That was the moment the retirement trust activated its voting rights. By Monday morning, the board convened an emergency meeting. Who just fired the person who owns 76% of the shares? The pattern is simple. They confuse silence for weakness. They assume proximity equals control. They mistake kindness for permission. I let them. I don't regret what I did. I regret that I had to do it. Justice doesn't always look like justice when it arrives. Sometimes it looks like an ambulance pulling up to the wrong door. Sometimes it looks like a vote counted after the room has emptied. Sometimes it looks like a mother who kept her son alive and taught a lesson without raising her voice. I didn't scream in the hallway. I walked to the kitchen, and I finished what she started, on my terms.